Welcome to another episode of Adventures in Movies Looks at dot. My name is Nathaniel Muir, and I'm the movie editor at AIPT. Joining me this week is one of the hosts of Adventures in Movies.
Just me. It's Blake. Hello.
And this week, Blake and I are looking at the Mothman Legacy. This is a horror documentary about the titular cryptid and its history, I guess. Will it draw viewers like moths to the flame? Let's find out. So, before you got into this documentary, how familiar were you with the Mothman?
Very. I'm a long podcast listener of the true crime and the creepy and the weird, and yeah, I've heard a lot about it over the years. There's a movie, Richard Gere.
The Richard Gere movie, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very familiar.
That Richard Gere movie, the Mothman Prophecies, right?
Yes.
I believe that's my only encounter with a Mothman, except it seems like recently on the show, like every other week, we seem to mention the Mothman. But
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if it's growing up where I'm from, where you always hear about Chupas and of course Bigfoot. You're gonna hear about Bigfoot and the Yeti and stuff like that. But the Mothman was kind of way down there on the list of ones that I had heard about. So, being that you were familiar with them, was there anything in this documentary that surprised you?
Well, so that might be my biggest problem with this documentary. Is no, probably there was a few new stories of like recent encounters, you might say, with something strange and weird, but no, this covered a lot of ground I'd already heard.
That's interesting. So for me, like, I thought, I don't know why, I remember the Mothman, aside from the whole bridge collapsing thing,
Right.
I always thought the Mothman was like a nice dude. I didn't realize he was like a harbinger of doom. So
Right.
all that was kind of surprising to me. So you
Very
mentioned that,
welcoming, big red eyes.
yeah, exactly. Those isn't red a sign of like not danger and
Right.
go?
Yeah,
Like it's a welcoming color.
exactly.
No, I don't know what made me think that you know why? Because a lot of times he's drawn as really cute.
Yeah, it's like always like a kid's drawing. It's like, oh, it's a
Yeah,
spaceman.
except in this movie, of course, where he looks
Oh yeah.
incredibly freaky.
Yeah, they did a great job with that actually.
That's probably the best part of this document is they make that thing look horrible.
Truly.
In a good way, they make it look
Yeah,
horrible.
indeed.
So, you mentioned none of this was new, and what did you think of the direction of it? So it wasn't so much like the Mothman prophecies. It was where it's kind of current. It
Right.
very much delved into the past and I guess the history,
Yeah.
and some of the stuff I had never heard before. I mean, most of it I had never. So, what did you think of that direction?
I guess I was surprised that I didn't know when I saw the title Legacy. I guess I kind of knew I was in store for some history lesson of some kind. And I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it as the direction goes. I actually like for the first like 20-30 minutes of this thing, I was like, man, this is like the Point Pleasant Chamber of Commerce like must have made this because like this is good.
It's
It's
very much
gorgeous. There are some gorgeous shots of countryside and they actually make it look really beautiful. I mean, well, it is. I mean, it's a very
right.
beautiful part of the country. So yeah, I mean, it was along with the history and that I kind of enjoyed it. I guess. Yeah.
It was cool, and you're right. The title is a giveaway. It's the
Yeah.
Mothman Legacy, but
Right.
I didn't think it would go past the 50s or whatever. I really thought
Oh.
it would kind of be
Yeah.
somewhat. I didn't know the Mothman went back that far, and it kind of deals with flying humanoid things in general,
Yeah.
which is pretty neat. I was expecting a history lesson. I wasn't expecting it to delve that far back,
Yeah.
and as beautiful as Appalachia that area is, I thought kind of the history of that to me was a little bit dry.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost like again. That's why I kind of felt like it was like every one of these I've ever seen in a lot of ways. It was like, yeah, everybody kind of gives you that. Like, I mean, there is some way back when stuff that this one, yeah, was kind of original with, but yeah, I mean, eventually it all kind of becomes like, okay, yeah, no, then it showed up and the bridge collapsed.
And yeah, exactly. When it finally gets there, kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
So lots of interviews, of course, in these things. There's always lots of interviews. What did you think of the interviews, or did they stand out at all?
No, not at all to me. No. I mean, did they to you? A lot of it was like Well, I guess there was like a couple, like I said, there was a couple more modern tales from like younger, what you would describe as
Yeah,
younger
yeah.
people. So those were surprising to me because I was expecting it to all be like, who was the author? Is it Keel? John Keel?
John Keel, yeah.
John
And
Keel. So,
and they
yeah.
really he's a big part
Oh,
of this. It
the
really
feature.
changed his life actually.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I didn't expect that. Maybe I think that was through those interviews. Like you get a whole lot more John stuff, backstory on who John Keel was, which I wasn't expecting.
And to me, that was actually very interesting. And this is totally going to depend on a person's mileage, because
Sure.
while it doesn't get away from the Mothman, it does focus, like you said, on John Keel to a pretty extensive degree.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess you can make an argument for the legacy of the Mothman is how it affected this person's life.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think he kind of created it in a lot of ways. I think if it weren't for him and the book he wrote, I don't think it would be in the modern lexicon like it is. I think it would be more of a regional, folklore type thing, and he kind of brought it to the national scale. That's what I
no,
gathered.
that's a good point, actually. Without him, there would be no the curse of La Mothman.
Blumhouse coming soon. Uh,
So what did you think of the look of the documentary? I thought because like there's a whole bunch of these and all these
mhm.
Bigfoot hunter type things I think look the same. This one kind of had almost a horror movie look to it, I thought at
Yeah,
times.
yeah, it did, and I thought it was really well shot. Like I thought the cinematography, like a lot of the wide open shots and stuff that they were doing were really quite nice. And then like you said, they did a really great job of like making the special effects like creepy. Like anytime they did like a dramatization where there was like an encounter, it was actually kind of creepy. It was on the more creepy side than your average like Discovery Channel fare.
I thought so too. Like cryptids, they kind of go with Halloween. I
Yeah,
think this more so than most of those shows. It it walked a very thin line. I thought it did a good job. It was almost a horror movie.
it
I
really
thought,
was.
yeah, I
Yeah.
thought they did a really excellent job of that. Oh, what did you think of the editing in this? Because sometimes with these, it's kind of lazy and herky jerky. I thought it was really smooth in this. I thought he did a really good job of putting it all together.
Yeah, anytime the editing does not stand out to me, it means it was a good job of editing. So like yeah, everything was smooth, very good transitions. The music I thought was actually kind of was well done. Anytime they had like a little music interlude type thing, and no, I thought each interview flowed on to the next scene to the next dramatization. I thought it was all really well done. Yeah, I didn't notice it, so that's a good sign.
Now, that's the best thing that you can say about it is that you didn't notice. Unless something is fantastic,
Right.
if you notice it, it's a bad thing. Like,
The one
yeah.
shot documentary.
um, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I guess the really big question is, was it interesting? Like, I know you were familiar with it and stuff, but did you find it interesting?
Yeah, I mean, as interesting as I ever find Mothman. At the end, like I said, I find this piece of folklore in particular, like it's only about yay deep to me. They try to like they say, oh well, there are all these Men in Black encounters and stuff,
Right.
and that to me is the most interesting part. Is like, okay, well, if there were government agents, stalking around, X-filesing it up, that's more interesting to me than a fantastic creature. So, and they barely scratched the surface on it, really, on any of that. And I would have wanted more of that, but I think it is, it's only so interesting. But they did a good job with it. I was entertained by it.
I'd agree with you. I think that was the biggest missed opportunity.
True.
Like, if they had never mentioned it, of course, I never would have missed it. But because, like you said, they touch on
Yeah.
it, you want more of it. I thought overall it was interesting, but yeah, they could have dealt more with that.
Yeah.
Mothman's interesting because it's purely American. There's only been that off the top of my head. There's only been that one major movie off of it. Um, why do you think that it's like not as well known as some of these others?
Uh, I don't know because it's weird. Like I think it's because like the story they kind of tell you the story changes.
Right.
Like they bring up that and this isn't a spoiler. I mean, this is whatever.
No.
But the there's myths of like Thunderbirds and they talk about like Native American folklore and that kind of stuff.
And
And then
Irish folklore, I
and
think, right?
Irish
Yeah.
folklore as well, and then they kind of go, oh yeah, well there was that, and oh by the way, it was described as a big bird at first, but anyway, we've shifted gears, and apparently it's like this big red-eyed whooping crane.
demon type.
Demon whooping crane. Yeah. And so I don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
It seems like it's tailor made for a franchise. It's like Mothra. It's American
Yeah.
Mothra,
Yeah.
and you would figure there would be more about it. And I can swear before that Richard Gere movie, I had never heard of it,
Yeah.
and now I rarely hear. I in the past 3 or 4 months, I've heard more about it than probably my entire life, to be honest with you. And that's just from us kind of randomly mentioning it. The director Seth Breedlove, Small Town Monsters is the name of the company, and they do like Bigfoot. This is, I think, the second thing they've done on the Mothman. Would you watch more stuff from Mr. Breedlove?
I guess. I mean, the thing about this was like it wasn't nothing about this was like in any way like offensive. I thought it was well done. Um, but it is a bit above all that Discovery Channel kind of fare that you
Oh
get with
yeah, yeah,
this stuff, definitely. But it is just more of that, So
yes,
I can't. Yeah. I mean, would I watch something that he did that if I'm flipping through like it's midnight and there's nothing else to watch and yeah, Mothman Legacy 2, more Legacy. Yeah, yeah, why not? Yeah.
a stronger
A
legacy.
stronger Legacy.
But how does it compare to LeBron's? That's
Oh,
the
he'll make it 11-part series.
um, Seth Breedlove, he did this really interesting 6-part series on Bigfoot actually, and he did a different take on it. It did kind of sometimes it was always above what we see on Discovery Channel, but he was sometimes fall back on like the tropes of the genre.
Yeah.
I'd watch more stuff from him, absolutely. I think he doesn't. It's gonna sound corny. I think sometimes he kind of holds himself back.
I can see that. Yeah.
Oh, overall, the Mothman prophecies. Would you say it's excuse me, the Mothman legacy? I'm sorry. Is it day one? Would you pay to rent it? Is it a stream or totally avoid?
It's a stream. It's definitely a stream for me. This is available. It's totally enjoyable. If you know nothing about the folklore in general, I think this is a perfect thing to watch to inform yourself, and it's well done. And so yeah, definitely stream it if available.
Yeah, this is an easy stream, and
Yeah.
that's actually you're absolutely right. If you know nothing about the Mothman, maybe you've heard about him, maybe you haven't. This is a great gateway, and it actually goes a little bit deeper than anything that I've ever seen in regards to the Mothman. So absolutely stream this; it's worth your time. So next week we'll be here. It's the very last week of our 31 days of Halloween. You asked for it, and you're finally gonna get it. You'll find
Yes.
out what next week. So we'll see you next week. Maybe Danny will be here. Maybe he won't. If he was here, he would say like and subscribe.
Adios, party people.